Welcome back to War Thunder. Welcome to the first impressions on the Tiger 2H Sla.16. And the first kind of kill cam that you can see right here describes everything that is wrong with this tank. The explosion on the right hand side fuel tank and the weak performance of the long 88 recently just yeah, they killed this tank literally. So first of all, the Tiger 2H Sla.16 is practically a 1-to-1 copy of the tech tree version. Watch this kill cam. This is an American 90mm APG shell exploding at the rear of the fighting compartment and even being able to kill the driver. But it's not just the American 90mm that is outstandingly strong nowadays. It's also the Russian 85mm gun that completely destroys you with the first shot. And again, you can see the complete crew was knocked out. Furthermore, this might have been from the side, but what about the front? Yes, Russian 122mm straight through the turret front from an IS-3 that I still have massive problems killing, but hey, that's just me and my complete incompetence at tanks. This was not the case when I played this tank back in closed or in open beta before the release of War Thunder, so a few things have changed. Now, overall, the tank is not bad, okay? The tank is fast. For a heavy tank, it is heavily armored and has a good gun, which is rather rapid firing. So the problem is in the alpha strike, and that is the worrying part, especially when we compare it later on to the T29. But before that, I make the surrounding a bit louder for you because I want you to listen to that. So, have you heard the plane? Have you heard it? Me neither. Planes. Yeah, they always kill this tank. Furthermore, the weak 88. I so often do not do enough penetration damage with the long 88, but always they kill me in one shot, from the side, from the front, it doesn't matter. This tank was once a sheer brutality, the normal tech tree version, but since this is practically a 1 versus 1 copy, it just baffles me how often the fuel tank explodes, especially because this is a diesel. This is a diesel powered engine, so I expect the fuel to not be TNT. Furthermore, what really bothers me is the complete and utter failure of being top tier. I was in 95% of my games, I was always up tiered, and that really hurts. The next problem is that there is no fast tank for Germany that can actually kind of go with the Kingtiger. I see less and less Panther 2s, despite the Panther 2 being a good tank. In fact, I think the Panther 2 is practically a better heavy tank than the Kingtiger because of the recent fragility of the Kingtiger, which is complete rubbish. But hey, and yes, there is my old friend, the T-54-47, and this tank is completely overpowered. It has more frontal armor on the turret and equally on the hull, and the side armor being the same, and on the turret even more. But hey, it's just a Russian medium tank. This tank is complete bullshit and I hate it with all my heart. The next thing is that the constant power creep of the Kingtiger that it falls to. Other tanks getting more better reload or better ammunition, but that's not enough. No, this tank even has to fight ATGMs. In my first impression on the Stridsvagn 81, I said, well, the tank is really great, I recommend it. The selling point are not the ATGMs because I did not learn how to use it, but as you could see, 600 millimeters of penetration just simply took me out of commission and burned down my crew because The fuel tank got set on fire together with the engine, and so on. Then I bounced on the side of a T-44. The angle was obviously too steep. The caliber of the 88 is way too small to benefit from the shell armor interaction rules. But thankfully there are some regular Tech Tree tanks from the Americans that you can one-shot by shooting them in the turret. The T-32 in this respect is much weaker than the T-29. Then there is the constant problem that I did not even achieve a 2-to-1 kill to death ratio in this tank, which is pathetically weak for my overall kill to death ratios. Now, kill to death ratios do not tell you everything, but they are in certain respects a good indicator. If you look at one person or at your own stats and compare the kill to death ratios amongst its tanks. In this respect, I had the advantage, and I was lucky to actually damage the gun breach on both of those tanks, which is not always the case, but then I again was one-shotted from the side. I was so often ammo wrecked, despite taking out the ammunition from the turret, that at the end of the day I just can recommend you to take 13 shells with you. 12 in the left hand side rear ammo rack, which is sadly always there and everybody seems to magically hit it. Furthermore, one shell is being registered in the breach. I want to kind of say that the Kingtiger is good, but again, the power creep that it has fallen to, the introduction of so many powerful tanks. With the next patch we see probably more. I'm talking here about 1.67. I don't know if this video gets released the day of the patch release or before it, I don't know. This tank is the only real thing that Germany has at 6.7. Everything else has a lower battle rating or is much less mobile. The Ferdinand, you know, is too slow and still would fall to all those things, but it has 0.3 lower battle rating, like the Porsche Kingtiger. There is no Panther. The Panther 2 got up tier to 7.0. Less and less people play it, despite it being a good tank. And yeah, the RU-251, we will see how much pressure it will take off the Kingtiger from at least the flank. But even then you get one-shotted from the front. In this case, I was very lucky that this fella shot a PCR at me, which actually resulted in me not taking too much damage. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for letting me survive a penetration. Then there is the other one. He is completely oblivious to my presence. Double strike. And in this case, I have to say, the 88 performs really nice. He could have shot them with the machine gun, but he might have survived it, might have retreated, and I then had a standoff with a American lightly armored tank destroyer, and if I would have turned my back on him, he would have potentially killed me. So this is the best match that I had today with this tank. I had no reason recently to play this tank since there are no new German tanks for a long time. I would love to say, yes, this tank is amazing, yes, this tank is great, yes, this tank beats everything that it sees, but the T-29 just simply outclasses this tank in armor protection. His E is more or less equal in mobility, has better firepower with a better alpha strike. Granted, the reload is longer, but then there is the insane survivability and the insane fast repair speed of this tank. So, then there is the next thing. The turret front of the T-29 is kind of buggy. Now, this example here was okay because I hit the ring around the gun, and that is thick enough so that my 88 doesn't go through. So, I always have a standoff with certain tanks, and I just have no chance of one-shotting them. Even if you penetrate the lower plate, the blast, the explosion from the 88mm APHE shell is just not good enough. This tank was once the monster on the battlefield, the Kingtiger that is. It no longer isn't, because the 88, despite having the same TNT equivalent of 108.8 grams of TNT equivalent, just isn't strong enough to deal with certain introductions. With older introductions like the Super Pershing, which was always pathetically weak in this respect, you can deal. But with a T29, you just have so many limitations in a 1 versus 1. The T29 on flat terrain, when it is a bit away, like 300 or 400 meters, can penetrate your lower glacis and your transmission and then one-shot you, and not just by setting your fuel tank on fire. So, sadly, this tank has so many problems, like the lack of firepower, which is very surprising, the lack of survivability, which was always the selling point of the Kingtiger, the less and less importance of armor, since more and more tanks at 6.7 have heat FS with 300 plus millimeters of penetration and an equal if not higher reload, especially when this tank receives a constant up tier to 7.0 or 7.3. It just simply struggles. Yes, it still can kill something, but in comparison to other tanks, it just simply struggles. Together with the lack of light tank supports or medium tank support, even, this tank has to do everything, and it's so easy to outplay it. So, and yeah, again, a very long repair time, and again I got deleted by an American 90mm APHE shell. Granted, I was already down one crew member, another one was injured, but it doesn't matter. So, my final verdict for this tank: just put a talisman on the regular Kingtiger Tech Tree version, and you're cheaper off. So that's it for me today. Thanks for watching, thanks for listening. Let me know everything that there is to know in your experience or about your opinion regarding the current meta of War Thunder, 6.7 problems, the Kingtiger, German teams, and so on. One thing that I have to mention before I end this: it's just outright disgusting that my win ratio in this tank is not even a third. Like 33 point something % win ratio is not very good. Furthermore, I do not even have a 2-to-1 kill to death ratio. In other tanks that people struggle with, they have higher kill to death ratios, so that outright tells you that this tank effectively on the battlefield has problems. Maybe the RE251 will help in this respect. This is why I deleted the tank review on this tank. This is why I delayed it, and I can assure you that in the new patch you will see many new tank reviews about the new tanks and some old tanks like the Kingtiger. So again, that's it for me today, and I hope you enjoyed the video, and we will see each other on the battlefields of War Thunder.